Hello and welcome to the promotional video for Out of Touch, the first book in the Touch of Grey series. I am Leia Howard, and I'd like to take this opportunity to first discuss the world of Touch of Grey, some of the characters, the setting, the history, and then we can dive into the particulars of the story Out of Touch. I'll have links to purchase the book from Amazon Kindle and from Google Books in the description. And there will also be another promotional video released in a couple of weeks, and that will discuss the second book in the series, Invisible Touch. This was first uploaded to my website a year ago, so I have re-recorded this in order to make the audio files a little bit better and make it easier to upload to YouTube. So first, we'll discuss the world of Touch of Grey. So in the world of Touch of Grey, psychics are real, and they're called Psycepts, or psychics are those with enhanced perception. And the psychics are able to be genetically identified, and the US government wanted to kind of contain or corral or direct these people, use them for agencies like the FBI, CIA, the military. They wanted to co-opt them or draft them into service. So there was a huge battle in the courts. The people didn't want to be drafted. They didn't want the government to petition to take the children away and put them under government like foster care to raise them up to be, like soldiers or agents. They wanted to be able to keep their children with them and not be compelled to serve the government, that they wanted to be, continue on with their autonomy. And in this world, the courts did kind of a split decision. They did side with the individual Psycept, saying that yes, you are individuals, the government can't just decide to take over just because you were born with these gifts. They can't just, co-opt you into service. However, they can compel you, or they can bring you in kind of like voluntold. If you are provided with adequate compensation, then you can be in the service. Kind of like here in America, we have something called eminent domain, where the government can seize property from landholders and use it if they deem it to be in the greater good of the community, as long as they compensate the landowners for the seizure of the property. So they kind of did this a little bit with the Psycept, saying if you are provided with adequate monetary compensation, then they can compel you to work for them if you are deemed as someone who is required to render aid or being subpoenaed to provide a service. So the American Psycepts did not want to be compelled into service, to have no say over the matter and just be given money and make that seem like it was okay to do. So they made a deal with a neighboring country called the Greater Tribal Council of the Americas, or the GT. And this is a nation that was formed right around the Civil War, United States Civil War, and it's a coalition of indigenous tribes of North America. And the GT have kind of an insular country. They are formed in the central part of North America and into the west. So they're basically like from where you think of as Iowa, Missouri, into Oklahoma, parts of Texas, and then up into Canada, where Canada is now, into the Ontario kind of part of Canada, over to the west. So west to what is currently Nevada, Idaho, into Montana, and through Alberta in Canada. So that area is now its own country, and it's called the GT. And the GT have kind of kept to themselves since the nation was formed. They've crept out every once in a while to help out if they're able to. For instance, they helped out during World War II, and they have pacts of mutual aid with some other nations, but for the most part, the GT is their own country, and they don't really have much to do with their neighbors. And the GT is very much about protecting the environment and being a steward of the environment. So the GT saw an opportunity to deprive one of their more contentious neighbors, the America, United States, deprive them of Psycepts, and then in addition to enhance their own standing by having a large number of Psycepts within the GT. So Gray is one of the Psycepts that moved to the GT. She was 18 years old when she moved, and she has lived there for the past 15 years. And she specifically lived in the Southwestern Alliance conservatorship and in the city of Albuquerque. So next up is Specific of Out of Touch, the first book in the series. So in Out of Touch, the first book in the Touch of Grey series, we are introduced to the main character, Gray Graham. She is a Psycept that has been living on Swakan, which is the Southwestern Alliance conservatorship, specifically a section in Albuquerque called Psytown. She's been there for the past 15 years. As part of her residency application and agreement, she aids the Psycept police in police cases involving missing persons and homicides. It is a finite number that she handles. She has complete control over which cases she accepts or that she does not accept, but she just has to do a specific number per week. That's part of her residency contract. Right now, she's doing between 3 and 5 cases a week. She does not go out to the crime scene because of her ability. She's a touch clairvoyant, so she is able to read a person's memories by touching an object that had sentimental value to a person. So her specialty is missing persons and homicides. The outside police, the GT is contracted with police in the United States and Canada and Mexico. The governments of those countries, they kind of contact the GT and request aid. And they send in whatever the Psycept deems appropriate, and then the Psycept uses that information to assist in the case. But the Psycept very rarely goes out into the field. It's kind of for their own protection, as well as just they don't need to go out into the field that often. So Gray works her police cases as per her residency contract, but other than that, she really doesn't have much to do with the Psycept community. Gray has her own business. It is not any type of Psycept relation. She has several employees that works for her. She is the owner of a virtual assistance business, and she kind of likes it that way. She just dabbles in doing what she can for the police cases, but that's such a small part of her world that she doesn't have very much to do with other people. However, in the past 15 to 20 years, tensions have begun to mount, especially between the United States and the GT. Individual people, individual police, even state police, they don't have a problem with the arrangement. But the larger government and the military of America does not like the fact that such a rare commodity as Psycepts, they're very, very rare, very small percentage of the world population, that the GT has such a large concentrated number of Psycepts, because not only did they extend asylum to America, but when it looked like Canada and perhaps Mexico would be following in the United States' footsteps on how they wanted to handle or treat their Psycept citizens, then the GT also extended the residency asylum to Canada and Mexico as well. So the GT has quite a large percentage, especially in the Western Hemisphere, of Psycepts. And America is kind of resentful of that. They're wary of it, and they want to change. They want to shift the balance back into their favor. So this is the setup of Out of Touch, that Gray is kind of in her own world, but something happens in Out of Touch that drags her more into the world of Albuquerque, the world of Swakan, bigger part of the GT, and bigger part of her being in the Psycept community. And I'm not going to get too much into it. So hopefully you will be intrigued by this and will want to delve into the world of Gray. And again, Out of Touch is the first book in the series, and it's available now on Amazon Kindle and Google Books. The links will be in the video description. And the second book is also out, and it's called Invisible Touch. There will be a promotional video for that in a couple of weeks, and more about that book will be discussed And there's even a third book set in the world. It does not have the main character, Grey Graham. It has a different main character, but it is a story set in this world. Another Psycept is kind of the main character of that. I realize the video is not a sophisticated YouTube video, but hopefully you enjoyed a glimpse into the world of Touch of Grey. I will also provide a link to my website as well as my Twitter. So feel free to contact me, reach out, you can like this video, and thank you so much. Happy reading!